So one of the big differences between objects and associative arrays is that you can also define methods for an object. And a method is a function that's attached to a particular class that can be run on any particular object and has access to all the values of all the properties for that object. So let's start with an example. I'm going to go back to my name popularity record, and by the way, this should be here for PSR1. And I'm going to define a function inside of this class. So function percentage, and it's not going to take any parameters. And basically what I want to do to calculate the percentage is take this count property, divide it by this total property, multiply that by 100, and return that value. But I need some syntax to refer to this property. I can't just say $count, because that would be referring to it as a local variable, and presumably if I did that, then I'd get the same results for Mark and Jill. What I want to actually refer to here is the count property of whatever object I'm running this method on. And here's the syntax for doing that. You say $this pointer property name. So this is whatever object I'm running this method on. And then this is the count property of the current object. So that can be a little confusing when you're starting out. It takes a while to sink in, but eventually you get used to it. So let's go ahead and return 100 times this pointer count divided by this pointer total. And this is going to calculate a different value for each object that I run the percentage method on. So let's go ahead and try it. So I need to specify count and total. So mark pointer count, and I'm just going to make up a number. Mark pointer total 90,000. So that's saying that 90,000 male babies were registered in 1962, and 1,500 had the name Mark. And these should actually be numbers here. Not quite sure why I put strings there instead. And then let's do the same thing for Jill. So Jill pointer count, let's say that was 3,000. Jill pointer total, let's say there were 100,000 female babies in 2000. So here what I'm going to do is I'm going to echo $Jill pointer name dot colon space dot and then number format Jill pointer percentage, called just like a function, to 4 decimal points, and then we'll add a break after that. Let's put a percentage sign too. And then I'm going to do the same thing for Mark. So it's going to calculate this percentage based on the properties of the Jill object, and this percentage based on the properties of the Mark object. And I get 3% for Jill, which is 3,000 over 100,000, and 1.66 for Mark, which is 1,500 over 90,000.